They're taking wing out of this body. Okay, yeah, you're right. We just walk in. We just walk into here, okay?
Do you have a digi?
Yes, I have a digi. I have a digi.
I need an extra one if you see one.
It should be in the box. It should be in the box.
I have a digi. I have one. I'm good. You guys are good. Keep your digi.
Okay, I'm popping him. So everyone takes a breath.
From a sky nade above to damage and more, Luminosity survive a double pinch here. Exit now landing out just ahead of him, finding damage where they can. A crack foul with Koifel on the other side, laying in with the 30-30 will eliminate them. Essentially caught with their pants down. I will say it doesn't get much better for Xset. Keon on the other side, making this actually what looks like just a direct 1v1 here as that zone, well, it's gonna be doing most of the damage.
I was wondering if Keon was gonna try and do anything with his rat status to see if he could maybe clean this up, make it more difficult than it needs to be. It's exactly what he does. Clearing out Xset, now having this entire side of the zone to himself. So that means we're really just focusing on Moist and drop-in gaming to balance out and see if Keon can play spoiler for any of it.
Oh, well, for Moist already, double knocks found with, well, I'll tell you what, the energy barricade doing most of the work from a cleanup on TSM and design to now a 1v3 that's a victory lap for Moist.
Oh, Keon just a little bit too
Heavy check mark live is back. The uptime of the session continue.
Close out with style. Match number 2, and that was well deserved because yet another situation here, Zephyr, where we had to watch them rotate from pretty far away. A few times they ran into a similar rotational pass. Then they were able to put themselves up in that northeast portion of the zone, completely cleared it out for themselves, and were able to just hold it and play the rest of the game so smart.
I'll tell you what, if you're either Disguised or TSM right now, you are feeling really bad about having difficulties with those early fights because it was a guaranteed, assured win there for them in the end. And I know we like to talk about the resurgence of a lot of squads, but for Moist, I mean, come on. Second place the last time ANC met up. I mean, it's to no surprise that they've got to pick up at least one win on the day of.
I mean, they looked great. They were not afraid to take some really aggressive third parties, took out big names in the process, got themselves a priority position in that zone. So that was a well-deserved win on behalf of Moist. But yet again, Storm Point has not been disappointing all day, Zephyr. These games have been fantastic.
As I say, the chaos of the open-ended first game to now the illusion of checkpoint into the edge of the western side of Down Beast has made it, I mean, a bit frustrating to say the least for some of these squads out there, but winners will be crowned nonetheless.
The real question is, did Tiff do this? Did she call this and we don't know it?
That's right. Collusion behind the scenes. I'm kidding. It's just a candle, a different C-letter word.
Oh man, I'm excited to see what that will do and where a lot of these teams ended up, because there was definitely a point where I lost track of just how many kills we were getting on the board for some of our top squads, and I think they ended up being a little bit more spread out than we realized as well. Hopefully Moist, though, like you said, popped off last time that these groups saw each other. They have found a little bit of a groove here this time around. I'm loving having them in this region.
Oh, absolutely, especially finding themselves, you know, in or well above the tempo alongside most of these squads. And the same can be said for a team that rhymes with, well, I don't know what it rhymes with. Dark Zero. There's no word that rhymes with Dark Zero, I don't think. If there is, let me know. Mark is a hero. There you go.
Yeah, it's close.
It's not a word.
Hero, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. I guess there is the whole Zero to Hero song, so there's that.
Oh.
All right, yeah. You know what? We'll take a look at our series results, see how everything played out for some of these teams, or we'll take a look back at the LG fight right now so we can see how that. Okay, honestly, this is actually something we need to take a look back at, because Zephyr, this was insane. Not only do they go for an insane rotation, but they drop straight down into a fight and just unload their entire kit. There was a point, and this was it, where I did not think they were going to be able to survive, but not only do they stick the res, but then Sweet finds them the safest spot possible that they could have possibly given themselves a reset in.
Yeah, down here on the low ground underneath, just in the cubby hole of zone as they dance between the wall, is the answer that Luminosity finds, like you said, directed from Sweet of all people. So between Gaiman, of course, and Furia as a whole, kind of find themselves in difficulty. And then, of course, the major super ordnance from above to give themselves the access they need to leap onto this high ground and take advantage of this position is finally what gives Luminosity their credence in this area.
Beautiful, beautiful performance. And honestly, if they didn't have exit here, there's a very real possibility that they could have pushed up from this area of the zone and ended up winning the whole thing. But like you said, exit shut them down on that side of things. To take a look for these match 2 results, and this is kind of what we were expecting. Like I said, I think the kills were a little bit more spread out than we realized, and that's exactly what we've got all the way through the top 5 right now, Zephyr.
All right, Xset, Luminosity, Fury, and Moist picking up the lion's share, with Drop-In, of course, having themselves that surviving position out in the west as well to at least pick up third to equalize things out. But in terms of the overall standings across the board down as we go, Gaming Gladiators, the only other team to really put up a fight in their early, I'll say, pickups.
I mean, this was a really strong Storm Point match for a lot of these teams. We'll take a look at the second page as well and see where they shook out. We saw some early engagement, obviously out of 9 lives. Saw this last time around too. They're still getting some KP due to that contest down there, and then finding a few on those rotations out as well. But it didn't stop OXG when it comes to how they were able to perform overall. Once again, though, we're still looking at Sentinels down there struggling a little bit, as well as TSM just can't catch a break when it comes to some of these fights.
No, it has been a surprising issue to say when we talk about the isolated 3v3s that this roster tends to, I mean, be undeniable at when it comes to matching up against anyone in North America. Have not been able to find one whatsoever. First against Moist, now against Disguised. One last opportunity for them to shine here on Stormpoint and put up, well, some form of points, because right now 19th is never the place I ever expected to be saying when it comes to that name.
I mean, to be fair, it's still early, you know? We still have some time on the day, and TSM are known for just putting themselves under unnecessary amounts of pressure and then just absolutely slaying out after. But right now, Moist and Legacy sitting comfortable at the top of our leaderboard after these first 2 matches. Really consistent performances out of both of them, especially when you look at Legacy with the placement points versus the KP, and this is something we love to see.
Oh, absolutely. They're tied up on the end, but still an incredibly close game, and one that notably shifted the success of these rosters completely on its head, with Moist, Drop-In, and even Xset making a return there. We didn't get a chance to discuss it in that versus fight, but they made an excellent decision off the back end of that evac to actually not go for the push into zone, but instead take the surprise Drop-In fight over Luminosity that they successfully won, and as a result ended up above them as a result.
All right, this is definitely setting up the last Storm Point match to be a really exciting one, and then we'll have to see what changes as we switch.
I'll try to do it next time.
Yeah.
Trying to see who won between. I feel like Meat had to have won. They're fucking red armors.
でも話したんだけどさ、なんかみんな全員過去と向き合ってなんかみんな幸せになれないかったじゃん。なんかお船運転してる人は過去の女性、付き合った女性に振り返ったら女性は前に進んでたけど自分の時は止まったまま。 黄色い服の女の子は、過去のことは分かったけど、もうみんなおばあちゃんになってて、家庭があって自分の居場所はなかった、家もなかったっていう。男の人もずっと囚われてた女性にせっかく会えたけど、結局すぐ死んじゃって、そんで、ハッカーの女の子は、自分のお父さんと結局会えたけど、なんかお父さんは、なんか自分の子供が娘なのか息子なのかも忘れちゃうような、なんかもう自分のやりたいことが一番のお父さんについていく結果になった。犬もついてっちゃった、犬も。なかなか暗かった。ハッピーエンドが良かった。映画はダークな方で、アニメはハッピーなの。そう、映画はそうダークなのが好きなんだけど、最近もうね、ハッピーな方が好き。あれ、花です。何ヤッホー。もうなんか暗かった。韓国語を勉強していますって書いてあるかけ。
おはようございます。
あれ、アイスピークさんおはようございます。なんて名前何の話何の話カウボーイビーバップの話映画を見るといいなんか悲しかった。結局だってさ、お船の人はさ、結局また一人になっちゃって。結局黄色い服の女の子も一人になっちゃって。みんな離れ離れ。悲しい。未だ何の話だねえねえ待って、カケが、何の話してるあれきなこうさんおはようございます。アニメだけか。
So weird how there's so many like random issues on these servers. Like me like getting the 100% pack loss thing like every time.
It's been a journey. When you think back to the first seasons that you've ever played on Zephyr, when did you start playing Apex? Was it right at drop?
2019, in the heat of beta, I was there on a PC that couldn't even make it work, but I was playing.
I love that. Same for me. I started in 2019, but you got a sneak peek at that gameplay trailer that just dropped. But you at home can compete in ranked, updated with a high-risk, high-reward system that incentivizes those combat through each ranked split. Now, granted, I said the splits for ranked are coming back, and also we have these magnificent breakout rewards, the Wraith Legendary skin if you complete all 6 sets of challenges, and you get those beautiful trackers to go alongside it. But hear me out. As a little squirrely Wraith main Zephyr, I like it. I'm gonna give it a solid 7 out of 10. No, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's pretty cool.
It has been raised. The rating has increased. I'll tell you what, if that's what you're excited for, I'm excited for the anniversary event, especially because Apex has gone out of their way to target so many of our favorite creators, and I think that's awesome. From Orax to Vicky Palami to Shiv, and heck, even Rain Day. He got to have his own R99 skin.
Can you imagine? That man got to play a season earlier and was probably putting out so much content to go alongside it. But make sure you tune in, check all the social medias to see a sneak peek of those creator skins. But as we look towards our map rotation ahead of us, that final map on Stormpoint. Congratulations to Legacy and Moist Esports, both waving that white flag of Echo HQ, no longer contesting, but both finding success.
I love that. Neighbors in arms here on the southeast, and while the zone maybe isn't directly pulling there, we still feel its influence in the people it brings are strongly rooted into terms of success on Stormpoint. We'll see if we potentially reintroduce that.
Storebot is fine. If you can't keep up, you're straight out of luck.
Go back that way. But for now, Legacy having a strong performance. Happy birthday, Coach Pastillo. We see you. We know you're out there and you're having fun.
Well, it's a good start, but it needs to keep going here for these squads. The only two notables still remains in Native, and of course DNO still working with that Valkyrie, as we did get to see it just a...
Oh, this is a big one.
This is a good game for us.
Let's go. Come on. Look at the dragons. This blue dragon and a blue one. And a purple. There's a purple dragon right above the beast.
Alright.
Kind of flying over me.
I'll walk for a spell. Stepping up.
Throw down 2 interceptor pylons. Do you get double the arc stars then?
I don't know if you get double the arc stars, but you don't get quite as much heals. Even still, it is a disgusting setup for them that we'll have to wait and see, as these teams will of course be taking advantage. And I'll tell you what, the scrims themselves will be probably the most entertaining that we've gotten to see. For now though, Oxygen. This is some of the best loot they've started off with, but not a direct fight in comparison to the last.
What the fuck is this guy doing?
It's really tough because at the top of the show we were talking about how Oxen just bounced back off of a match day win, returning home to Barometer on Stormpoint. Now granted, they're finding themselves in a little bit of a similar situation here that they found themselves back on match day 2 in A and C, despite still having Barometer. This contest though, which has been very hit or miss and kind of all over the place, because it's not really a direct contest. They're not really vying for the same position. It's whoever gets center of this circle here in Barometer, the next person takes high ground. And typically from there, they'll split off.
Yeah, I mean, it is a... I hesitate to say contest at this point anymore. Instead, these two teams are basically sharing this POI, which in the end is objectively making them both weaker. And this is when we start to see teams make that decision where they say, you know what, for the future, this is something that we're just going to have to adapt to and change, because it was in our last matchup of both A and C where, respectively, they finished 14th and 15th, as neither of them were able to get, good things running on Stormpoint.
Drop in Gaming, making their rotation towards that mid-map just south of Cascades. They got to get through first, but it looks like another team has hit an evac tower through rotation. Native makes their way on that approach, which granted, you think about their rotation, they start in Cito, so we're just hopping on over towards Cascades, where Exet, curious where they've positioned themselves accordingly, because you don't see them just north of Cascades. Not a far rotation for them either.
Well, I'm starting to see a little too many teams here in Cascades, which is starting to allude to what might be the setup for our zone. Exet's Coilful on the other side, already finding some of those initial knocks onto Drop in Gaming. Stunning, as they just took to the evacs above, and with that at least landing, should be able to get the revive here with this coverage.
It does come through, and a Phoenix kit to join them. Jayon. All of them forced to pop the Phoenix kits, but with so many teams moving into Cascades, it's going to be really hard for one team to leave their building and make a full send push elsewhere. LG really putting the pressure on to Oversleepers, and Moist here taking on a little bit of split Gaming Gladiators.
Now, we've seen Moist on the edge the last 2 games here, and it was last time around where it truly benefited them as they avoided being in the heat of action and checkpoint, forcing them to play on the outskirts, which in the end ended up being where these squads wanted to be. As a result, with first knocks onto DNO and potentially more, they do have to be respectful of gaming, but with the hard pull towards Cascades, it is the perfect opportunity for teams to keep moving in. I do like GKS's and LG's position more than anything. Could be one of those zones that we see finished out towards the no name of our zipline buildings of the north there.
Yeah, this is really interesting because we did get a lot of northern zones on this last match day all around the wall, and even one that ended very similarly to where LG has positioned themselves, and Exet had played from the building just north of them, a little bit closer to where GKS is, to say the least, and it didn't really bode well for them. So I like where Exet has positioned themselves. The issue is if it does pull up more towards where Luminosity is, they're gonna have all of the congestion from Cascades and such to deal with.
Well, hopefully these teams are taking their allergy medication.
I am, that's for sure.
That's good, that's good.
Drinking water, I'm taking allergy medicine, and I'm watching Evolution hit that evac tower.
That's the power of Apex Legends, folks. We get our our health in order here in Free Evolution. They've got to get their position in order. Vudo forced to drop down, and Yaz caught out as a result. Sentinels are very happy with the gift that has been delivered. A Prowler in RK then, Zan. I mean, how can you lose it?
You don't. You let the auto Prowler absolutely do work. Now with the numbers in their advantage, we just start putting the pressure on the remaining team members.
Well, back to building at least for now, but I mean, that's the threat. That's job done. You know, that's you know, you make a single statement, you say stay out of our territory, okay? And then Sentinels, they're on their way to victory.
Are you a mob boss, Zephyr? What are we doing here?
You know what? It's not a far reach for a guy like me.
What can't you do? You hit him with a howdy.
Swim.
You know a lot of. Oh, okay, fair enough. Swimming, that's fine. As long as you can cast Apex, I'm loving it at this point. But Sentinels, they pick up another one, just consistently whittling down, leaving Euryce, the last member standing for Evolution. And I think Sentinels are proud and happy with that, so they're going to go ahead and disengage. But for now, the routing has occurred. Furia, his Watson, really wanting a second place overall on the board, and well, if they've got a rat on Luminosity to make it happen and take their position, I think we've seen this before, specifically with Disguise and DNO.
One mad swing here with Funked and Sweet on the ready of edge. Something that Furia are unable to capitalize on, at least for now. Double Dark fails down, make it impossible to push out of this, but it was an attempt.
It was something, that is for sure. Now Furia, back to the drawing board inside of Command Center. Now that Luminosity knows they're there, Sweet has probably conjured up at least 500 different scenarios of how they're going to take down Furia.
I can think of just the brain memes with the calculations appearing over his heads as Furia themselves are the threat upon their back. And the crazy thing is, they're actually a better set of resources and sustainability to potentially make something happen here. It's just that they don't have the full cooldowns anymore. So a bit of a shame, but ultimately in the end, contesting for the opposite side here, where you kind of get in towards that waterfall height, I mean, that's just as good, right? If they can go into a fight which is a lot more easy to access, should be able to find similar success.
I will say they don't get the eliminations onto Luminosity, but what they do get is that next zone information. And if you have Ring 3 and you know where you need to go, which is exactly what they're looking for, and you're kind of getting that inkling on their mini-map as Madness just finds the perfect spot for this evac tower, and coupled alongside the grav lift to get them up over halfway to make that less susceptible to getting shot at. So let's keep an eye on where they're going for. Playing down here at the bottom of this lift, which means the zone is not pulling towards Command Center.
Back down low, even in comparison to what we are used to, potentially back towards that river there, which I know for a fact there's multiple teams that aren't going to be prepared for a rotation like that. For Oversleepers mirroring what we just saw out of Furia, maybe potentially not towards the exit, but down south. We'll have to wait and see. This is a roster that has started today, I'll say hotter than usual, but at least for right now, hasn't eclipsed the points that we've seen previously. They need to continue to put it up on the board.
Very true. They need to bounce back after a non-preferential game 2. But GG here with the new org buff and a wingman trying to fight a little bit further north. Multiple teams on the horizon, and DNO Gaming just ahead of them.
10 seconds on Radiant transfer here as they're sticking the natural heals that be. This is not a terrible position for Gaming Virus, especially if no one's going to come from the south side. Narcstar and a couple of other ordinances, though, might force them to make a move.
It's a really good shout, because are they watching their back? The frag comes through, it does the damage, it finds True, but a Radiant transfer was there waiting to be able to get them back to full form, and they've already hit the shield bat accordingly. But as you see, DNO from the other side do have a pylon available.
Smokes down and Digi in hand for Nano. I mean, there's only so many options you can really work with. But for 9 lives, now on the back end here, one bad take, a couple of good shots poised out there could be their end. Blue with great response, drop that down.
As we get a good look at the map before we go back towards that DNO GG engagement, 9 Lives do hit the rotation out. They do not want to push through that tunnel, but the hard pull comes through, and Xset have situated themselves quite nicely for this Cascade Falls ending.
Well, we're back down south, up north, into Cascades now, to the buildings themselves. So far, squads still playing out from the height. I guess this ends up working whether they like it or not. Gaming Gladiators, as a result, are actually allowed to make the exit from the Jurassic Park choke. And for, well, 9 Lives behind the back of them here. See if they might be coming over or potentially a bit later. Even Gaming Gladiators, though, isn't that interested about actually crossing the distance given how open this can be, so just waiting things out.
We do have plenty of time. A team has hit the high ground. It could be a multitude of teams looking for those evac tower rotations, 9 Lives being one of them, settling just underneath Oxygen Esports. Oxygen, who desperately need eliminations and a turnaround performance here in map number 3.
Double purple on gold. I mean, this is, especially in comparison to 9 Lives below them, I mean, this is your opportunity to make something happen. It is sadly information that they don't entirely have here, but does it get much easier for 9 Lives to do something about this? I mean, think about their rotation ahead.
A lot of teams are going to have tough rotations ahead, specifically Moist and Legacy, who come from that southern side of Stormpoint. But they're still trying to make their way. Waltzy up just ahead, scouting for information above on the Pineapple. But for Legacy, making that approach straight into where Furia has positioned themselves. Yanya decimated, Keon within 1 HP and a dream. Jaguares and Niazul definitely need to clutch this up.
Big moves in from the other side with Madness will be the access point for the start of damage on our last 2 here. A black hole thrown into the interior with some arc stars to make a bit of the boot, but Watson will be the one to lay in the real damage that counts.
And still, external pressure out here from DNO is going to turn the tides of this fight. Jaguares and Keon, a massive 1v1, and the swing comes through, and Legacy, they're able to eliminate Furia. Let's jump on board with Furia to hear what their next plans are for this third party.
60 on him. Cracked. Dead. No! Let's fucking go. I'm turning around to look behind us. Yeah, I'm doing the same. Okay. Nice, good shit. Yo, fucking shit, dude. Keep it fucking going. Other side, do we look for that as well? Yes. They're hard.
Well, if there's one thing I learned, Zephyr, is that the vibes are high there for Moist Esports as they grab the lone standing member of Legacy. But for the north side of Cascade, over here by the waterfall, things are looking dire, specifically for meat lovers who have found themselves by that waterfall. But touching back onto Moist, well, goodbye, Waltzy.
No closer to their end for TSM. A 3v3, one that we look for in terms of success, is stunted just a bit. Shot out from afar. Reps will have to slow the pace of things to stick a bat in the midst of the smoke and will be able to finish off Meat Lovers in the end. But we know for a fact Luminosity from across, and what is 30 seconds till zone push means for TSM. They don't make it much further here.
They're just caught out by so many 30-30s. The entire kill feed lights up from the hands of Oversleepers, from Luminosity, and even Xset still going through. But for LG, who have maintained that position from TSM, will now be faced with a heck of a rotation of their own down towards the south, further into Cascades. We got a sneak peek of where it is pulling from that kind of picture-in-picture, and Xset will have just a little bit of their building in that next zone, so fingers crossed for them on that end game because they need it.
Oh, disguised another roster that has to make, albeit a different but similar issue in terms of a rotation up through. Well, actually, no. surprisingly out far enough towards the northwest. Disguise are already in. They actually have a bit of cover that should allow them to sustain longer. LG, though, they'll take it to the oversleepers.
You're not wrong. Start throwing out all the damage. Digi threats amok to keep them alive. Funk doesn't even need one. He's just shooting and it's working. But can he get the last little bit of damage onto that player? No, they do not. GKS falls and Blinkser actually opens the door towards oversleepers, eliminating Vaudery, and the swing comes through, but it doesn't manifest because they're a bush now, Zephyr. They're bushes.
They've taken root here, like some of our other great teams on Stormpoint, and will, I bet you, surprisingly survive longer than some will expect, as Luminosity now has new foes to deal with in an attention span that is quickly directed elsewhere, and quickly, with a 30-30, finding big moves.
It's very respectable here. Sweet and Funk. The swing comes through and straight on to oversleepers, and just like that, they are eliminated. Beautiful timing on the Radiant transfer to hit the reset and prioritize the slow healing. But the issue is it's Moist on the outskirts with a direct line of sight onto Luminosity, one of their biggest threats, but they're still able to anchor down into that next zone here. They've already shot out the piercing spikes to try and fend off any pressure from that northern side.
This is really good for Luminosity. If they continue to pressure out the remnants of Moist in this final circle and push them more directly into the fights against Native, Oxygen, and those who set themselves up directly in Climatizer, this could be the win that they have been searching for. Disguised finally up from the low ground in a major split between this team.